Hey everyone, I just thought I would do behind the scenes perspective of my latest blog post for marketinginsidergroup.com, and it's all about Avengers Infinity War, and it's about what I call the secret weapon behind most content marketing success. As you see here, this is the rough draft, and this title may not even be the one that is the final title that I use. But I knew that I wanted to use the story of the Avengers as a way to get across this idea of this secret weapon that I've noticed that all of the top content marketers and even the top media platforms online have used over the years. And so whenever I put together a post, I always try to figure out how I'm going to capture people's attention at the beginning. Because I know if I cannot capture their attention at the beginning, they're never going to consume the content, and all my work is for nothing. But I not only want to capture their attention, I also want to make sure that I frame my ideas in a way that they will emotionally and intellectually resonate with people. And so I want them to emotionally connect with the way that I can begin and start out the story and the blog post. And then I want to be able to use that so that it becomes intellectually intriguing to them. Instead of just giving the idea itself, here's 5 tips to do this, 7 tips to do that, I always do something at the beginning in order to capture their hearts and their minds, and so it gives the whole blog post a much greater impact. And so I knew that Avengers Infinity War was going to be one of the stories. I was going to tap into that because I knew that movie was coming out, and I knew the blog post would go live on that day, and that was the whole purpose. And I knew that was the conversation that was going to be going on in people's minds, and I wanted to tap into that conversation and pull it into the idea that I wanted to share with them. And so as I began to put together the post, I found the origin story of how the Avengers came to be. And it had to do with the drinking problem that led to the creation of the Avengers. And you'll have to read the post to see what that is. And so I thought that would be a really intriguing way to show how the Avengers came to be. And it also would allow me to reveal just a hint of this secret weapon that I wanted to talk about. And so I had that as the beginning, but as I began to move along with the post, I decided that I needed to start with almost like a pre-intro, an intro to the intro. And so I decided to come up with an intriguing question. And I always, as you notice, I always use subheadings to encourage people to keep reading, to stop people that are skimming from skimming. And I called it the secret weapon to defeat the content marketer's common enemies. And I'm using words and phrases like enemy, superhero, those types of things, to subtly, even subconsciously latch into this theme. And so you can see the sentence I start with. What if I told you that besides the usual content marketing methods you always hear about, there's a little known or little used method that is essential to your success as a content creator or content marketer? A method used by some of the top content marketing heroes that you know and love. There is such a method. And this method has been used repeatedly by your content marketing heroes to defeat the greatest enemies of our industry, known as content shock and multitasking. Now, again, this is a rough draft, so punctuation may be off. I may change the punctuation. I may even call multitasking something else in the finished product, the finished post, which I'll call a product at this point. But you see how that adds, it begins to create intrigue. And you notice again, I'm tapping into these words, your content marketing heroes. because I want to tap into that superhero theme. And so I use that as the introduction to this story that sets the stage for this story, which will set this frame and paradigm that I want to use to help people to become emotionally ready for what I'm about to teach them. I want it to be emotionally compelling. And so it draws them in to this lesson. And so, I talk about this origin story. And then I after presenting that story, I decided to present the first lesson. And because I already want to reward people for getting this far into the post. And I then went on, I've added some quotes from top people in the industry just about networking and things like that, because that connects to this secret weapon that I want to reveal. And then I decided now I need to talk about this movie that's coming out. I don't just want to talk about the Avengers. I want to talk about Infinity Wars. And so that's when I begin to transition into the movie itself and facts about it, information, and how much it's cost. And then I tie into the idea that this is what Marvel, Disney is doing. They're tapping into this secret weapon. And then I give the second lesson. And then I decide to bring it together, and after I've explained all this, and go back to the beginning premise that you have heard about many of these important things that need to be done, many of these tools. And again, I might change the wording that I use there to tie into the superhero thing. I might not call them tools. I might call them weapons. I might call them some other superhero type term. But I want to show them again that these things are important, but without them, you're still missing the secret ingredient. I talk about what that secret ingredient is. It's a content network. I talk about, at this point, I really need to expand on it more, what a network is, why I chose the word network. And then I transition to the idea that your content marketing heroes have been using this weapon for years, but have you noticed? And again, I'm using a subheading, right, to draw their attention and to pull them in. And I'm definitely going to reword this. I'm going to copy, paste, move this stuff around. I don't like the way it currently flows, and I'm always paying attention to the flow. I'm trying to create a reason to keep reading. Like I mentioned in my content marketing guide about the tips that Charles Dickens used, and I'm always trying to make sure that I'm presenting the ideas in a way that draw people in, that even use suspense to keep them reading. Okay, I probably spent, 10 or 12 hours working on that rough draft in the Word document, and then I went to bed and I sent it to Michael and to my content squad, and got the feedback from them. And then I woke up today and I have been entering it into Michael's site and continuing to tweak it. Actually, first I printed the Word document before I even entered it into Michael's site, and I just read it in the paper version so that I could see mistakes I might miss on the screen. And then what I've been doing for probably, the last 4 hours is I took the corrections that I made on the paper, I entered them in the Word document, sent that updated version to my content squad, and then I began to input and transfer that information into WordPress on Michael's site. And what's taken me all this time is I've been fine-tuning everything. It's all about the fine-tuning. That is how I believe that you create blog posts that people want to read. That's how you create content that people want to consume. This is something like 5,100 and something words long. but I believe that people will read it because of the things that I've been doing to tweak it. The title I have at the beginning, the images that I've added, the subheadings, bullets, the bolding of different things, transitions that I've used, very important things like these transitions, just simple things. The stories that I've told, again, minor little transitions like this, and the way that I've caused different things to stand out, like each lesson is big blue underlined title like that, and I have these additional quotes that I've sort of just fit in throughout the post, and I've done that to subtly reinforce the overall message that I've been giving to the audience that's consuming this article. And again, there's these images and fun facts, information, to keep people engaged, even videos. I put in this clip with one of the official trailers from the movie that ties into a quote that I use that gives a hint about the secret weapon that this article is all about. And as you can see, I have these subheadings, not titles, subheadings that I'm using along with these images to keep people reading. And I've added links and to give credit for the images I've used and the places that I've gathered information, and to point to more information for people that want to go even deeper. And so you can just see that is what I've done. I've tried to keep everything engaging. I've tried to give background. I've tried to flesh out the reason behind the terminology I use, and given my own definition. And then I pulled in these content marketing insiders, which I've called my content squad, and I've asked them to contribute to this post, so that within the post itself, I am using the secret weapon that I'm talking about in the post. It's as one of my content squad said, it's very meta. And so I have them each sharing about this overarching idea that I'm talking about in this post. And then I have included some case studies, 2 case studies in particular, and then my take on it from my perspective, being in the industry for the last 7 years or so. And I brought in some really interesting information that I thought would not only flesh out my point, but be attractive to people who are part of the content marketing arena, whether they've been there a long time and interested for a long time, or whether they're new to content marketing. And the third lesson, again, it stands out. I was able to give additional examples so that people could see it in action and get even more ideas about how this secret weapon can help them. And again, these examples came from my content squad, which is the secret weapon that this whole blog post is all about. And then I finally was able to give some practical steps at the end, most of which were put together by Roger Parker, who's one of my content squad. And then I gave some additional advice that people might not recognize, that shows them how to do this if they're afraid or intimidated to try this. And then I gave some final thoughts. I usually not only try to focus on the introduction, but I try to focus that conclusion, how I close out the content. And I always try to do it in a way with impact, and you'll have to read the post on your own in order to do that. And then I even found this quote that I thought fit perfectly, that just again reinforced the overall message of this blog post. So I'm going to probably proofread it again. I'm going to use a tool to check for punctuation mistakes, things like that. And then I'm going to set it to go live. And it's going to go live tomorrow, April 27th, 2018. And we will see what happens. But I believe because of the things that I put into the post itself, because of Michael wanting to publish it on his website to his audience, because of the content squad that I've gathered together, and because I'm tying into this idea that's going to be in the minds and the conversations of the people tomorrow, Avengers Infinity War, I believe that this post will be shared and will be read and people will comment on it, and it will produce great results. So we'll see. Anyway, thanks for taking time to check out this behind the scenes view of this post. This is Scott Ottman from recessionsolution.com. I'm the author of 51 Content Marketing Hacks, and I'm the person behind the popular infographic 21 Types of Content We Create. If you're interested, I have a free guide called The Content Marketer's Ultimate Guide to Creating Content that Captures the Short Attention Spans of Today's Readers. And it's all about how you can use a literary technique that Charles Dickens used to become famous, which is still used today. And you can use it to boost the magnetic appeal of your content. And it's one of the methods that I used as I put together this post. So all you got to do is go to recessionsolution.com or just search for Content Marketer's Ultimate Guide, and my name's Scott Ottman. Thanks for your time. Take care. Bye.